Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this afternoon show. With October 15th behind us, we can begin focusing on the next 6 months. And I think we're in for quite a ride in the next 6 months.
I would agree.
Yeah, we're going to be. So today, I'm joined by Adrienne Simmons and Jonathan Rivlin. We're coming live from the Xero Roadshow in Washington, D.C. Wow, the technology is amazing, isn't it? Wow. Okay. So Jonathan has just started using Xero about a year and a half, maybe
2 years.
2 years ago. 2 years ago, and Adrienne has been a long time. You're like a veteran here in the Xero
for
world.
US, yeah.
Yes, in the U.S. Yes, because it's based in Australia.
New Zealand.
New Zealand. Okay. Yep. Well, I'm going to turn the program over to Jonathan and Adrienne, and they're going to give you their thoughts on Xero and some pointers and reasons why this is a good product to move to. And after that, we're going to turn it back to me for some final thoughts. So I'm just going to swivel the computer, and you'll both be on.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thanks, Andy.
Hi, everybody.
Good stuff. I know we just actually had a chance to meet for the first time today, and but both Xero users. Maybe it might be a good idea to start by saying the path that sort of brought you to Xero, and sort of the path that brought us to Xero, and what that's been like. So I'm interested to hear your story, actually.
Okay. Well, I started out on 13-count paper. I was taught this business by hand by my father, and for the last 2 decades, we were on QuickBooks Desktop, and I was happy. Most of my clients were begrudgingly happy, or just say unhappy with QuickBooks. I had one client in particular who hated QuickBooks and insisted we use this other app, and it didn't go well. I resisted, and we ended up losing that client. There's a story behind that, but another session.
Yes.
When my father and his other partners wound down their practice, and my brother and I were looking to stand up our current practice, we looked at all of our pain points, and these experiences firmly in mind, we said, okay, let's try and get away from some of these things that were causing us pain. And one of those things was QuickBooks Desktop with the files going back and forth to QuickBooks Online and to it in general. And that's how we found Xero. And adopting it in the beginning was difficult for me just because of where I was coming from. I had to learn how to be in the cloud. I kept saying, I could do it so quick in QuickBooks. I had my hotkeys, and my brother would say, it's different. It's cloud-based software. It's different. And so what I had to learn was, yes, there are certain things I can do quicker in QuickBooks, but with the cloud, you don't have to do those things. And that's how we came to be here.
Yeah.
And never want to go back.
Right. Yeah, it is weird. Sometimes you make the change at the front end. You're like, do I really want to do this? And then 2 years later, you're like, I would never do it any other way. And why was I doing it the other way for so long?
Can't imagine how we got along without it.
Right. Yeah. With so much technology. I mean, for me, actually somewhat similar stories in that, my dad is a CPA and sort of took over his firm and as well. And many years on QuickBooks and sort of experiencing the desktop software. I mean, and if those folks you remember far enough back, which is farther back than me, when QuickBooks itself was even a thing, in the early 80s, and what that introduced. But there's a lot of pain points, as you mentioned, that come with using a desktop-based software, switching the files back and forth, making changes, not having those really be hold on, not being able to get to the data anytime you want to. So instead of like doing remote login, having to be on site, et cetera, a lot of those things are actually inhibitions, one, to doing the work we are meant to do.
Yes.
You have to spend 40 minutes just getting to the point you can start working on a file.
Yes.
That's just wasted. If you're lucky. Yeah, sometimes more. And number two, they're also, because they're chewing that up, they're limiting the types of things we can do. So I mean, as an accountant, as a CPA, you've got many years of training and experience. You never actually get to the point you can offer it because you're always trying to get the business owner to the starting line. What being in the cloud allows us to do is to say we get to design the system up front. We get to sort of be able to see it in use in real time, helping a customer or working with a bookkeeper or whatever it may be, keep it in good shape. And now we can build so many other things on top of that because we're to step one earlier in the game. So now we can help the customer go to step 2, 3, 4. So let's have a little bit more insightful conversation of not where's that receipt, but Have you noticed that your utility bills have been going up? Or
Right.
not, hey, after the fact, you another $10,000 in taxes. It's before the fact. By the way, your business is really growing. Send in that extra estimated tax payment.
Right.
Those are the conversations we want to have. And the technology allows us to cover the first 100 yards more quickly so that we can get to the second 100 yards. So I think that is part of what we are excited about it. So
It's, I'll echo what I said in the Xero Roadshow an hour ago. It's just a better way to live. I have one client, I'm going to change the names to protect the guilty.
You're guilty.
ABC Corp and 123 Corp.
Mm-hmm.
And not the real names.
Yeah, very common.
But two different legal entities, two QuickBooks files. So I'm going and they're always 2 or 3 years behind. I'm working like mad. It took me like a few months to rebuild the ledger and get things proper, get all the adjustments in there, going back and forth with the client to get data that they had no idea what I was asking about. I finally get the thing done. We get it filed. And then I get next year's QuickBooks file this is on a 3x5 inch floppy disk.
Oh, wow.
Dating myself.
Yeah.
And this was only 2 years late.
Yeah. Right.
And I get the thing punched up on our system, and it was one QuickBooks file, ABC 123.
Combined.
I just looked at it. I'm like, I'm done. I can't.
Right.
I sent it back to my father. I'm like, I can't.
Right.
This is demoralizing.
Right. And not going through that again.
Yeah. So now clients are good at being clients. They're good at running their business. They're good at what they know. They're not good at accounting, and they shouldn't be. That's our job. So now I have some clients on Xero now, and I can see what they're doing in real time, and I can create the system such that as they enter certain transactions, it automatically gets coded properly. And if something slips by me, I'll see it quickly enough where I can correct it in real time. So it's no longer, tax season, where's the stuff, oh my goodness. Can I first tie out the opening balances and, post the journal entries that I gave you that you lost, not that you wouldn't know what to do with anyway. Now it's like, I know last year's balances are right because it's the same data.
Right.
And now I've been tracking your stuff during the year, so now it's just a few high-level adjustments based on tax law changes, and then boom, we're off and done.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just better.
Yeah, so that I think that the cloud does. I mean, and the other thing is it moves it out of your office so that you're not having to be worried about the security side of things.
Yes.
It's automatically being backed up for you, so you don't have to worry about that. It's sort of removing some of that technology, infrastructure, administrative effort that was becoming more and more a part of what we had to do as accountants.
Yeah.
Moves it back out of our office so we can, again, focus on what we're really about and trying to help the businesses and individuals that we work with. So,
Well, I would say we're at a very nice time because the technology really wasn't there. And this is relatively new stuff, 5 years. The decision point used to be, well, why would I put stuff in the internet that's not safe? Now it's like, why would you have your own server in-house? That's not safe.
Right.
We don't have the resources, the financial or time resources to secure our own servers anymore. It's like if you're not putting it in this cloud-based app that has a team of people that can protect it for you,
Right.
That's a disservice if you're not using that stuff.
Another question comes to mind is, given somebody says, okay, yes, I'm ready to move to the cloud. I see that, in 5 or 10 years, this is going to be the way all small businesses' books are going to be kept. So you can hold on to those QuickBooks files, but eventually they're going to be sort of torn from your hands at some point. But now that they're saying, okay, I'm going to do that, why go Xero versus QB? Obviously, we're here for the Xero Roadshow. We're big Xero fans. Having looked at the two products, so to the degree you have looked at the two products, what types of things did you see and what made you lean Xero?
I'm going to be on the record here. Intuit's not going to like this. For the longest time, I was singing Intuit's praises. I loved QuickBooks. And so for me to say what I'm about to say,
it's a big change.
Yeah. My clients never really liked QuickBooks Desktop. And I loved QuickBooks Desktop. My clients never liked it. They just tolerated it. I can never figure out why, but that's because I'm the accountant.
Right.
Then you say, well, what's QuickBooks Online? Well, QuickBooks Online is basically desktop software repurposed for the cloud, where Xero is native to the cloud. It's a huge difference. Intuit, it's such a misleading thing. There's nothing intuitive about QuickBooks Online. I've never met any accountant that likes QuickBooks Online. It's such a busy, convoluted site. It's hard to find things. It's slow. And the worst part, which is really just epitomizes why I'm so glad to not be part of them anymore, is the business model. You have to be so careful where you click in QuickBooks Online or QuickBooks Desktop, for that matter, that you could upsell yourself and not realize it. And that's a dirty way to do business. And it's like gotcha capitalism. I had clients say, I signed up for QuickBooks Online. I did it myself. And I'm like, oi. And, I'm doing the base model. I'm like, no, you're on the full service model. And I'm like, no, base model. I'm like, look at your feed. Have you looked at your bank statements? You've been paying them for the last 9 months at the top rate. Well, I didn't do it. I'm like, no, you clicked on something.
Right.
There was some pop up and you weren't reading it. And next thing you know, you upsold yourself. Xero, it's not like that. It's a clean interface. And yes, there's a learning curve. I don't want to put rose-colored glasses on. There's a learning curve. But it's intuitive the way it's laid out. It's easy to find things. It's not an overly busy interface. Each page, each function has its own clean page that allows you to do that function. And there's a wealth of information. So there's even a little thing like get help for this page. You click that and then articles and videos pop up. Some are from Xero itself. Others are from other practitioners around the world that say, hey, I've been using Xero for X amount of time and here's what I figured out. That's great.
Yeah.
And then business model wise, Xero says, here's what we provide. Here's what it costs. Here's a few different models. And pick the one that fits your situation. So you know what you're getting, and not a constant upsell. And it's like Xero has the mentality that let's work together. We're all partners in this. The client does what they do. You as advisors do what you do. We're going to do what we do. And we'll bring in other apps that specialize in other parts. We'll all just work together.
Yeah.
And that's, I'd just rather be part of that. I don't want to always be having my shields up about a sales pitch.
What's going to happen? I think I'd echo a lot of the things that you said. And for me, maybe three things that also come to mind of why I sort of gravitated to the Xero platform. One was design, which you mentioned.
Yeah.
That it is just easier to navigate. It's more intuitive. The language is actually even customer friendly. It's not so much accountant jargon.
There's no opening balance equity.
There's no open balance equity. And it says bills instead of accounts payable. It says invoices instead of accounts receivable. So a lot of it is designed so that somebody who isn't necessarily trained extensively as an accountant can still use it effectively. So that design goes through all different parts of their system too. There's no annual member fee as there is for a QuickBooks Advisor fee. You get Xero, a free version of Xero for yourself. Plus, they actually have a lot of partner tools. So you can get the headquarters, which allows you to see activity feeds and manage your staff and create practice level templates. At certain levels of membership, you can get access even to their partner Xero Practice Manager software. So there's a lot of stuff that all comes to you for free certification.
Yeah, good. How much have you ever paid Xero to be a Xero certified?
Xero.
Right.
They'll actually, if you're a partner with them and you're at certain levels, they'll actually help co-pay for your marketing funds. So if you put on an event, you're demoing Xero, X dollars to rent a room, you send them the bill, they'll send you 50% of that. I know we've done that at the silver partner level. So that's the difference of mentality within the Xero software. So that was my second. So first one, design. Second was this partnership mentality.
Yeah.
Within the software, there's actually even a question in the help menu. In addition to the useful, helpful articles, there's also contact my advisor. They can send you, the advisor, a question right from the software. There's discussion ability within the transaction. So that somebody said, I didn't know where to put this. This relates to this and this. Can you figure it out or help me? There's even built there.
We can send that. I don't want to interrupt. Sure. We can send that back. Like, hey, I was going to reconcile this for you, but what is it?
I didn't know what this was. So the communication could go customized. Right. There's a Xero Ask feature that was demonstrated today. We've actually used this last tax season. You have the interview. You're missing 5 things. For free, Xero allows us to send queries through an encrypted channel that says, all right, I need this, attach a file, choose this,
Mileage.
yes, no, or fill in the blank here. And that information comes back seamlessly, saving us lots of time at trying to chase that down. So the design, the partnership mentality, and the third one I'll mention, which was also important for me, was innovation. I feel like Xero is really the player in the market that's coming up with the new ideas and putting in the effort to figure out. To me, there's a difference between saying we listen to accountants and we build what they want, or saying, well, what might the accountants not be able to imagine that you can come up with to make their and our business owners? And I think Xero answers that question better than the other solutions that are out there.
That was beautiful. I would just amplify our famous Henry Ford quote: "If I listened to my customer, I would have built faster horses."
Yeah.
Right.
So they've done, and that's so in my opinion, QBO has sort of been playing me too, a little catch up. Now, their product is much stronger than it is now. So if I was sitting in your shoes, would I still go Xero? And I think the answer is yes. Even though the QBO product has come a far way in these last 2 years, they've been throwing a lot of money and also sort of playing a little copycat.
Yes.
Xero is still the stronger platform to me, but they're also the future platform in terms of their future vision is really stronger. So that's part of why I want to continue to sort of be there.
I would strengthen what you said with. I used to have a tech startup called Band Happy. This is going back a few years. It was live online music lessons.
Sweet.
It was very cool.
Yeah.
I got to meet some interesting people. But what I learned is that the technology is wonderful, but it's still about humanity, people. And as great as the apps are, and they are great, Xero treats us like partners, whereas Intuit treats us like marks. And you can't surmount that.
Well, guys,
Is it our time?
I know it's really
That was
quick.
quick.
That went quick.
I tell you, you
Thank
guys
you.
were very engaging, so we're going to swing here a little bit. There we go. There I'm back on with Adrian. Hello, and Jonathan's still sitting with me. So, guys, I cannot thank you enough for the great presentation. I'm telling you, I'm very excited. I'm going to go sign up for a free testing, and because I'm going to take the drive, and I think it's going to be interesting because as you said, with the whole apps and what did they 700 apps and have
In their ecosystem.
in their ecosystem is pretty amazing. I just love the terminology that they're using too.
Yeah.
What was the new word that you used?
Tech stack.
It's tech stack. Okay, we're all learning new lingo here, so which is wonderful. So again, I want to thank you both for joining me today. On a final note, the Comptroller's Office in the state of Maryland released a tax alert. I don't know if you know this, to address the tax treatment of the IRC 965. So you should be seeing it right now. You should be seeing up the link about the tax alert. The alert provides instructions on how the 965 income should be reported on corporate, PTE, fiduciary, and individual income tax returns. So if you have taxpayers who have already filed or who maybe be in this boat, you may need to amend their tax return because of this alert. So it didn't get much fanfare, but it's out there. So we need to make sure as tax professionals that we are representing our clients correctly. And this is part of what we do here, is to make sure this information gets out there. So make sure if you do have a client who has the 965 income, that you take a look at this alert because you may need to amend those tax returns. So with that, I want to talk a little bit about next week's show. Next week's show, we're going to come on about 11 o'clock, and we're going to be talking about employee to entrepreneur, making that transition. And so we're going to have our guest, it'll be Richard Godfrey, and he is actually doing a panel discussion on the issue, moving from government to a self-proprietor, as well as moving from corporate to a self-proprietor. So we're going to be touching bases on all aspects of that. So if you have that interest, you want to make sure you tune in next week at 11 o'clock. Again, with a little bit of adjustment in the time. And without further ado, again, I want to thank you both for joining us. And I want everyone to have a wonderful day. And we'll see you next week. Bye.
See you later.